Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. The sound
Woo!
of the harp,
Trying to get this technical stuff under wraps here at
right?
the studio on Mott Street.
Yeah, that's right. The Mod Street Studio.
No street is like Mott Street in the fall.
And tell me
Uh,
what street compares with Mod
Street.
Street in July.
Live impromptu discussion about Boise, so we thought we'd pull some Boise clips up and have Jeff do his thing.
Rattle on
Let's
about
yeah
where I came from.
yeah. Let's check it out.
Well, it's true. It's true. I'm from Idaho originally, about 200 years ago. And it was a beautiful, beautiful place to grow up. Got to start out by saying that. At the time, I didn't think so. I'd do anything but to get away, anything to get away. But now I feel different about it. It's an absolutely beautiful place, and I had some nice friends there. Of course, my family was there. You know,
Hmm.
have to laugh about that because they were quite the Adams family. My twisted relatives, and I fit right in with that bunch. But there were some things I really miss badly about that. And one thing is, well, was the perfect weather. We had 4 perfect seasons in Boise. We really did. And the weather was according. Like in the summertime, it was hot. In the wintertime, it was cold. Springtime, it was beautiful. And the fall, crisp. I always liked that. And, but there's no humidity there. So it's not that horrible wet heat like you get here in New York. It's just like the whatever coming right off of the ocean. You feel like you're like walking around with a wet blanket over you, that awful feeling. And the same thing with the cold. We get that wind off the ocean, and the cold that chills your bones. It goes like right to your marrow. But growing up in Boise, it was crisp, and you could go outside and play in the snow for for long periods of time until your parents would scream out the door, "Put your jacket back on. What are you, crazy?" That kind of thing. And we'd be making, snow angels and snowmen, and we used to like to take inner tubes and go, sliding inner tubes at this place a block or two away called The Hill. It was like in this big field that the Mormons owned. They had like a whole bunch of corn, and then the part of it was just dirt and nothing. And there was like this big hill of dirt, and in the summertime you could ride your bike down it. There were a couple little paths down it, and that kind of thing. And in the wintertime it was for sledding. We always used inner tubes and stuff like that. But and it was a lot of fun. We spent many an hour over there. It was like you were in a different world. But the other thing that I really, really miss is floating down the Boise River. It was so much fun. And once again, in inner tubes, you and your friends would go out by Barber Dam and outside of town. I don't know how far that is, 30 miles maybe, outside of town. You have somebody drop you off, and then you get in the water and float down the river. And it was fast enough. Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is.
So people can see it
Yeah, look at that.
as you tell your story. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And it moved fast enough that you didn't have to paddle, but it didn't move so fast that you had to worry. You'd have to paddle if you started to get over near the side. Because see all those trees and stuff?
Yeah.
Sometimes there were like rattlesnakes and things, or at least they told us that. I think one girl did. I don't know. Why would a snake be in a tree, though? That always sounded suspicious to me. But, it really did. But they just
How
told
do
you,
they
like,
climb it?
yeah, it was like, how do they climb it?
Well, you
Exactly.
see in movies in jungles, big boas and stuff. I guess.
Yeah, I guess they can climb a tree if they put their mind to it. But
Well, how do they even crawl? I mean, that's the thing. They crawl around the don't think there's it's like a big vertebrae and they kind of move each section.
I guess,
I think they're
yeah.
stronger than we think.
Oh, I think they're really strong. Have you ever had one kind of squeeze on your hand? It's like,
Not for less than
whoa.
$50.
That's not your hand, but
So this is I thought it'd be more grassy. This is kind of a brown.
well, it does. Yeah,
or is
I
could be the
remember it
footage,
as
too.
more grassy too. But it's been. But that's supposed to be back in the '70s, right?
This is yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's when I was doing it. I
Says
was.
here 1970 Boise
Yeah,
River.
I was.
Aerial
That's
view.
when I was doing it. Was in the '70s.
Okay.
Last time I did it was probably 1979.
So is that one of those waterfalls you said? Like is that see that little break there?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah, little mini waterfall.
when you
It's like woo. You go down. It's fun.
So what kind of raft would you be on?
An inner tube,
Oh, nice.
like a tire inner
Yeah,
tube.
yeah, yeah.
Ouch. That was it. I mean, some people did. If they wanted to be with their friends and stuff, but we liked our own inner tubes. And went for the beer. Have a separate inner tube for the beer. Keep it cold. And it was just so much fun. And it took you about 3 hours or something to float down, like, 30 miles or whatever. So I don't know how fast that is, not very. And it would go right through the middle of town. And you'd get to, they have these two great big, beautiful parks in downtown Boise. And there's Ann Morrison Park. That's for the families and all, it's
Yeah.
beautifully manicured lawns and stuff. And then there was Julia Davis Park. And it was a little funkier. And that was kind of for the freaks, and the hippies and stuff. And I mean, families would go to both. But that's where all the freaks went. They didn't go to Ann Morrison. And there was like a band shell there. And, you would like float along and then get to Julia Davis Park. And there were basically everybody that you knew was in town, like throwing frisbee back and forth, or
That's what I was gonna say. Like so, like as you go down, are people like in groups on like the sides, like they
No.
go off the river for a little bit, or
No.
you just stay on it?
you just stay on it. Usually, I mean, I'm sure people did, like horny teenagers, had to go over and
You ever
fornicate.
sitting hanky panky on that river?
No, I never did. I never did. But I wasn't looking, I wasn't looking. The one time that I was not on the lookout for nudity and sex, because I just was having a ball. I was so relaxed. I love the water. I really do. I get really, really relaxed in like a boat, something like that. I love to swim, believe it or not.
So I wonder if this area right here is all built up now, probably, right? Like there's
Oh, I'm
all these
sure.
houses there, because that's like
I'm
probably like a
sure.
prime property. Oh, that's kind of built up right here, but along the way, it seems like
Well, yeah, as you're getting
we'll have to
closer
look
to
at it
town,
later.
yeah.
We'll look at the modern one later.
Yeah, you're getting closer to town. So there's,
Yeah.
houses and whatever. The goat dairy. No, that was up by Meridian.
What's football field here, Boise? There's a high school field.
I don't know.
Let's see what this.
I think that's like a alfalfa
Let's see
field
what
or
this guy has to
something.
say for a little. See what he's chiming in about here.
Between the 8th Street Bridge and the Americana Bridge. With the exception of the heart of the River Street area, all land is now in city hands. The
River
emphasis on
Street.
this area is to complement Ann Morrison Park and open it up to the north side or the River Street area. 4 of
River
the 5 city
Street
purchases were made
It's
in
what
this
we used
area.
to call the N-word
The connecting
town.
strips will provide
Hey.
paths and rest
That's what it
areas.
was called.
It is planned
I'm not saying it
to have
out loud.
at least
Everybody had
one
that.
And I didn't say it
from
then
the River
either.
Street area
But he had an
to
N-word
Ann
town,
Morrison
unfortunately,
Park.
back in this. That's
In the
before
70s, yeah. I didn't say it. Even then, I didn't say it. Because my mom was really big on that. She thought that racism was hideous and ignorant.
Yeah.
From
But
the
I
Main
was-
Street
she-
Bridge all
she
the
would
way
speak
down
up.
to the planned location
If,
for the crossing
she
of
was
Curtis
like in a
Extended at the
situation
rear of
with
the old soldiers.
adults,
Yeah.
A
other
second lake
adults,
is
and they were
dug
like
and
talking
could be ready
racist.
for
My mom would say like, you please don't like talk like that. It sounds so ignorant. Yeah, I was like, good for you, Alan.
God bless her.
Yeah, God bless mom. Of course, she, talked a different game. When I'd bring home friends that were like Mexican or black, she would get really tongue-tied and just make everybody feel uncomfortable, trying so hard not to be racist
Yeah.
that it was, everybody knew, It's like, no. But, poor baby. She tried. And I give her extra points for the.
How long was this? This river goes like for miles and miles and miles and miles. And
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you go
yeah.
down the whole way.
Yeah, it goes all the way through town. We just got off in the park. I don't know where it goes.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a.
Oh, you said everybody gets off at the park and there's like a party there.
Well, I
so.
mean, we did, yeah. And it's like it goes all the way through town. And I don't know if there's ever a stoppage, like like the New York Canal. We had what was known as the New York Canal, and went all the way around the city. It was on the outskirts of town, and that was a fast moving. You couldn't swim in that. You couldn't get in that. Every year, three kids would fall in and drown and die, and yet they never built a fence around it. I think they finally did, like in the 80s, after I had moved to New York. They finally did, and it was just hideous. And the sides of it were like that corrugated concrete, that's not smooth. It's like kind of spiky ridges, so that if you fell in and you did manage somehow, because it was moving fast, to make it to the side, you couldn't hang on. It would just shred your skin, And then like all the way when you got to the end of town, there was like a thing that stuck in the water, and basically that would catch all the dead bodies, And it's like, oh my God, Every year they try to do like a referendum, or whatever they called it, on the ballot, whenever there was voting. It always came up, and we got to build a fence around the, New York Canal. People die every year, and people would always vote it down because they didn't want to pay more in taxes. And therein you have Idaho, the mindset. But I guess they got tired of losing their kids, so they thinned out the herd. Good. And
so what is green belt? It says Boise, something Boise River green belt. Is that what's green belt?
I don't know. That's probably an area of land that is green.
It says here the 1970 sitcom Hee Haw put the town of Good Grief, Idaho on the map.
Of Good Grief?
Do you remember that? Yeah.
No. I didn't know we had a Good Grief.
Let's check this
Fabulous.
out. Let's check this out real quick.
Well, we had Horseshoe Bend.
Okay, let's check this
and
out.
We had Greenleaf.
Let's see. I got to get a second laptop to get
with the Quakers.
Better, but
scary Quakers.
We'll see here what this jackass has.
We don't sell
People,
beer.
2 dogs,
here.
and 1 old grouch. Well, it's not quite the picture painted by the 1970 sitcom Hee Haw, but it's pretty close. Just a stone's throw away from the Canadian border sits this unincorporated area of Boundary County. Good grief, Idaho.
That's funny. Yeah, it's way up by Canada. So that's why I didn't know.
Oh, that's to the very top. Look at this.
Mm-hmm.
I've decided I want Charlie Brown for my vice president. Oh,
Good
grief.
Good grief. A phrase most attributed to a
great
lovable
town name.
lunkhead.
Yeah.
But in Idaho, it's also attached to an unincorporated community about 4 miles from Canada. So how did it get to be known as Good Grief? The story goes like this. At the turn of the century, alongside the Boise River, sat a little homestead known as
Moyet.
Addie. W.J. Greenway named it for his wife, and together, on that property, they ran a general store and a hotel. In 1920, the Greenways sold the business, and for the next 3 decades, who owned what when was not a well-kept record.
Oh, good grief.
Frustrating for sure. Sue
Nice.
Kemmis, the curator of the Boundary County Museum,
Nice.
says in the 1950s, a man by the name of Paul Springs bought the store without telling his wife. When she finally saw it, she summed up her surprise with, you guessed it, good grief. The area and the store has been known by that name ever since.
Good.
These days,
fabulous.
the Good Grief store is run by Stanislav and Svetlana Fedoseev, who reopened the place last fall. So,
Oh my God.
if you find yourself way up north on Highway 95,
Stanislav and
stop by for
Svetlana.
some relief
Big
in
Russian,
Good Grief.
Right near the border.
Well, if you're planning to visit the Good Grief convenience store, it's
Uh-huh.
convenient, not necessarily for your convenience, just to be clear. Make sure you plan ahead. They're closed Fridays, and the only way to get
Friday?
in touch with them
Closed
through
Friday?
Facebook.
Uh-huh.
They do not have a landline telephone.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Sounding more and more Twin Peaks already. Something's going on up there.
We got here, so go what? Idaho, Boise, Idaho, summer of '88. Spring Valley Lake, design and construction, 6970. The Boise Revolution, building Boise in the 50s. The 10 best places to visit in Boise. Idaho scenes from the 60s and 70s. Which one do you want to watch?
How about that one, 88?
88 one?
Yeah, see what happened after I left.
Yeah.
Because I never went back, you know. I've never been back.
That's crazy.
Well, you know, I couldn't afford to go, and I didn't have any reason to go for a while. And then by the time I wanted to go, I didn't have an ID, so I couldn't get on planes and stuff. You know, you didn't need them back in the good old days.
Yeah.
You didn't need to show your ID to get on a plane before we became you know.
It says there's a video here, 1972, jumping from the old railroad trestle into the Boise River. in 1972.
Nice.
Do you remember that?
No,
Let's try 88.
no, I don't. I don't know where the old.
No sound.
What's a trestle? It's like a bridge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why would you do that? Jump into that river? That river's not that deep.
Wow.
Just to break your ankles?
I thought we'd get a shot of.
Do you want to hear this guy? Or no, you just talk over it, Jeff. What do you want to hear him?
Oh, it doesn't matter. We don't have to.
You just, yeah, because you probably know what this is.
Well, no, I don't.
Let's see. Well, it's Boise, 1988.
Because I know that, like, down by where the phone company was, they built up like an area, made it like a little kind of a cosmopolitan artisan. You know, that's where they had the movie theater that showed foreign movies finally, you know, and stuff like that. And they had probably some bars that had live music, and you know, that was supposed to be this fun alternative area, you know. But that was never there when I was there.
On Monarch. You ever go to that?
Bon Marché?
Oh, that's what it is.
It was a store, yeah, department store. The Bon Marché. That was like a little out of my price range.
Yeah.
But yes, we went there sometimes. You know, Mom would get something once in a while there.
It's like the construction was on the Boise was a city on the grow at that point.
Yeah, always, all my life. It just kept growing and growing. The phone company was in that building. It was like 12 stories high. It was the tallest building in Boise. It was 12 stories high, and there was like the 12th floor gin mill at the top. It was like kind of a swanky
Vic's
place.
Pawn Shop. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I used to go to Vic's. Mr. Mon owned that.
Rockovich's Petite Design.
Oh, God. And his daughter Cindy worked there when she came and stayed with him in the summer. I fell madly in love with her. She was older. I was young. Yeah, Vic's Pawn Shop. I spent an inordinate amount of time there, much to my mother's chagrin. But it was really nice. It wasn't like, you know, the pawn shop that I usually frequented on Overland. What was that place called? Probably just Overland Pawn Shop. Yeah, Vic.
You haven't seen that sign in a while, Jeff.
No, I have not. I haven't thought about that. Mr. Mon, he was so nice. He was so nice. And Cindy was just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Master watchmaker, it says too.
Yeah.
What's this place next to it with the sign, the yellow sign here?
Oh, I have no
To
idea.
the right. Looks like it's like some kind of marquee.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Like, you know, because Boise is really bad about historical landmarks and things like that. They'll tear down anything, you know, and put up something. Look at that. Brooklyn.
You walk those streets, baby.
Yeah, I did. Not a lot down there, except for if I was going to Vic's. That was an area of town
Record Exchange.
I didn't. Boy, they didn't have that.
Wow.
Did they have that when I was there? I don't think so.
That seems like an 80s thing. The Record Exchange, I think, was the 80s.
We didn't like. I know I told you before, and you couldn't believe it. We didn't have any record stores in Boise when I was growing up.
Wow.
Yeah, you bought your records at like Kmart and Grand Central, and you know, stuff like that. And we had like a head shop, the Victorian, And they sold like a few records, but they didn't sell very many. It was always like, psychedelic kind of records, you know. And I loved the Victorian. It was owned by these two gay guys, and they had a son who went to the same junior high as I did. That must have been rough on him, really rough on him. Although the cool factor of owning a head shop kind of erased some of the sting. And then the fact that he was really cool too. He wasn't, like had it been me, I would have been like a mess if my parents were two men, in the Idaho in the 70s. And they're pretty flamboyant, So, one of them was really good looking. His dad was really good looking. It was really hairy chest. I just would stare at his chest all the time. He was probably horrified.
Yeah. To be two gay fathers in that time, in the 70s, is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because
There you are.
yeah, anywhere. Because homosexuality was still, until I think 1978, it was on the American psychiatric list of mental,
Yeah.
like it was a mental problem. It was considered a mental problem. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy, yeah.
I know, and it was illegal up until like 68, I think, 69.
You could argue being straight's a mental problem.
Yeah,
Dealing with these
exactly.
men and women, whatever
Exactly.
your thing is. The Warehouse, you remember this?
Yes, I do.
Sounds like that's a gay club.
Is it?
No, it's good.
It might be.
The Warehouse.
I remember that big sign though, warehouse, and is that the train depot?
Looks like it.
Oh, did they tell me they didn't get rid of all that water in front where me and Lori got stuck?
Yeah.
Remember I told you about that? We jumped out on the rocks in the middle of it. It was like a little tiny island, and we sat there and smoked bongs, and then got too high and couldn't get back.
That was awesome.
We were afraid to jump back. We didn't want to fall in that dirty water.
Looked like there was like paintings on the side of a building.
I know there's really not showing us a lot of
Let's see.
sites, are they?
Skip ahead.
Like
there a
this
little
is
bit.
the,
A
Capitol
lot of
Boulevard.
convention center. I dig down. Yeah, this is all just a lot of construction going
I
on.
dig
boy.
downtown.
Okay, so let's
Nice. Yeah, they have
Yes.
that thing now, the Civic Center. So they get like big acts now, and like Broadway shows on tour, and things like that.
yeah.
We never got into that, but we got the occasional act, like Alice Cooper and stuff. They're my favorites. I grew up loving Alice. Still do. Still love Alice Cooper. Nobody better. Nobody rocks harder. Hardest working man in showbiz.
Summer '72.
Ah.
Piece of junk in the Boise River with spear cans on it. There's the trestle, I think, Jeff.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Why would you do that?
We could see you.
Why would you jump in that? Maybe that's a really deep part of the river or something. Because
Kids will be slow motion replay. These guys are like got from the same cloth as me. I would do this kind of stuff as kids. Once we had a camera, all this kind of nonsense.
But the thing is like most of the river was not that deep.
Oh, it's dangerous.
You could like stand. I could see it if it was deep,
Yeah.
but like most of the river, like you could stand up in it, and it'd be up to your chest or something,
Yeah.
or your knees, depending on where you were. But like, I guess maybe that's the part where it's like deeper.
Rob was wearing his shoes. I did.
Oh yeah, you have to wear your shoes.
I did cliff diving, cliff jumping, and nice flip. When I was in Texas, in what the hell was that town called? Oh man, we lived on a houseboat on Lake Travis, and we did some cliff jumping. And yeah, you have to wear your shoes because you tear your feet up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to wear your shoes on the floating down the river too,
Yeah.
because it's all gravel and rocks and shit like that. It's not sand and silky smooth.
This guy's got like a, hold on, some kind of, he's got a water ski or something.
A rope.
This, look at this dude.
Yeah, this must be like out of the, yeah, off the beaten path.
Trestle jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't remember that at all. Not that I would have, if it was there, not that I would have jumped, mind you. Being Jeff the Chicken-Hearted, that's like not my ouch. High dive was as far as I'd go in the public pools, the municipal pools. I'd jump off the high dive. I wouldn't dive off the high dive. Can you imagine how bad that would hurt? Because I always had a real tendency to belly flop.
You ever go to Albertsons?
Yes.
All right, let's watch
All
this
the
one. This is from
time.
even though you were born in 61, this is from the 50s. Let's just take a look at this. This could be cool.
Oh, yeah. Albertsons was great. Supermarket. I liked Albertsons better than Safeways.
Dave Grant's Good Food. Coffee shop.
Mm.
Look at that car, man. Those cars were so much better,
look at
so
that.
cool back then.
I know, right?
Sunray.
A Sunray Dairy. Oh, I loved those. You didn't have to get out of your car. They brought you out what you wanted. It was like this little tiny stands all over town. And they just sold like, milk, soda pop, toilet paper, things like that. Just the real what you needed, And and their own little colored water, juice kind of thing,
Yeah.
Yo, you got any of them blue juices? And Bob Bellevue, Nancy's dad, worked for Sunray Dairy, which I thought was the coolest.
Boise was a whistle stop, I guess, because they showed
Yeah.
Ike was there. I like.
Oh
that.
yeah, that beautiful
There's
train.
Albertsons, Jeff.
Yes, yeah. One of the Albertsons.
Oh, that was a big chain.
There's more Albertsons, yeah. Like Safeways and stuff. Is that Eddie's Bread Factory? That's always in Scouts. When I was in Scouts, that's all they ever did was take you to Eddie's Bread once a year. So that's why I quit them and joined Church Scouts, because we got to go a lot better places because they had more money. And my best friend Dale Kidwell had moved to, his dad became a senator, and they moved to Washington, and then he killed himself.
Oh no.
I know. He killed himself. Between 6th grade and 7th grade.
Oh.
Can you imagine what happened to that poor kid, that he was so despondent to kill himself that young? Because you didn't even think about it that young. That's still like running away. They'll be sorry. I'll run away and hop a freight or something. Ride the rails, and so I didn't know anybody that thought about suicide then.
Wow.
We didn't think about suicide until junior high.
7th grade, I think that's when you start thinking about
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. God knows I did.
Start getting those urges
I
for a
did.
lot of things, including suicide.
Yeah, exactly. I tried a couple of times. I had a couple of.
Oh, no, this is the 50s. I was going to say, I'm still dying to catch you somewhere in one of these old movies. Either in New York in the 80s or in Boise in the 60s.
Right, and 70s.
The 70s, yeah.
Yeah, in the 60s, you'd have to go to my house on Dill Drive. I didn't get out much.
Boise High right there.
Is that Boise High?
What was the first time? There was probably only one high school back in the 50s, right? Then there was.
I don't know. There were 3 in the 60s.
Because there's the layout of it.
There was Boise High. That's downtown.
Oh, we should get Star on here for a Boise talk at some point.
Exactly, but she didn't go to Boise High though. She went to Capitol.
Oh yeah. I remember you guys were still talking trash.
Yeah, we were the big rivals.
Yeah.
And she looked where the rich kids went.
Yeah.
So evidently her family had some money. Yeah, or were like normal amount of money. It's like, and we were off on the bench, what was known as the bench, and the new homes that was across the vista. The new homes, the Minchers lived in the new homes. The only black kids that went to my school in grade school and junior high and high school too, but there more black kids came along in junior high and high school. But in my grade school, Cedric Minter and Elaine Minter were the only two. And he
Yeah.
was like this incredible athlete. Like there was just nothing he couldn't do, you know? It's like, people like that are just like so coordinated that like I'm sure the first time he put on a pair of skates, he took off like, like he'd been doing it all his life. Yeah. And he could, and then Elaine was really smart. She got like just incredibly good grades and everybody loved them. Although, that's from my perspective, I can imagine they would have a different story to tell. That must have been rough, being the only black kids in an all-white school. But they were really, liked for the most part. There's always, a bunch of hillbillies, that don't like anything. Didn't like me. Didn't
Can't
like
believe
me
that.
either. A lot of people didn't like me. I was an odd duck, my friend. I was very effeminate and clumsy and tall. Not a good combo, And plus I was like a ham bone too. That didn't stop me from doing my little song and dance wherever I was. And I had a lot of friends too, but
Yeah.
not compared to the number of people I'm sure that like didn't like me.
No, come on, Jeff.
No,
That's crazy.
no, it's not. It's, people are people, especially kids. Kids are more people than most people. They're very honest about it. Very honest about their dislike.
Sorry, your camera cropped out on you, Jeff.
Oh, good. Yeah, I've gotten even bigger since. So you can't gaze upon the loveliness that is Jabba the Hutt Raymond. That's the way I like it, baby. Just the sound of my voice coming at you to all those wonderful people out there in the dark.
I like to see that face.
Yeah, well, you're an odd duck. You're an odd duck, my friend. And I love you for it. Best friend I ever had.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Feeling is mutual.
Thank you. Yeah, and we were kind of celebrating because yesterday was the anniversary of Glenn's mom's birthday. And we loved Chrissy. I love that woman so much. She was like a parent to me. When my parents died, she just took me under her wing and made me part of the family. Much to Craig's chagrin, I'm sure, but that's okay. That's okay.
There we got your picture up there, at least, Jeff.
Oh, there we go. God almighty. Pugenhagen. Go to the village of Jezreel. See the old man Pugenhagen. That's exactly what I look like. Did you ever see that Omen? It's like, oh my God. I like that picture, though. I'd rather have that picture up there than me flopping around.
All right, Jeff, we got to take a quick time out here, and we'll come back.
Oh, good. Okay. Potty break
A little bit, yeah. And then we'll be back.
with more fun-filled facts
Yeah.
to
for
learn
our
and know.
Spotlight on Boise.
Yay!
I'll just, how I like to do it with the outro. The computer's acting real messed up today, folks.
It's a poor carpenter that blames his tools.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. That is the problem.
Hack. You'd think I'd have 6